Hello, it's me, CGD, 1740, 21st of the 7th, 2010. This piece is called Lost Friends. Um, what tends to happen when people sort of indulge in certain activities that they're not really afraid with, they become casualties by accident rather than design. It's never the intention of anyone to actually commit and take an overdose unless they're feeling suicidal. Um, I've experienced this once or twice in my life with people I've missed badly, and I regret them passing. And where possible, when people do die that I'm familiar with, I try and make it a point of duty to attend their funerals and that. It's a mark of respect more than anything. You know, sharing of good times and bad times with people like-minded who knew these people. It's a time where remorse, regret, things you might have said in haste and repented in leisure, it means nothing. It's insignificant. You cannot replace the value of a human being who you've known, trusted and felt affection for. In one particular case, when I was in HMP Brixton prison, I was tortured, and still am being tortured. I feel like a tortured soul most of the time. But this particular time, while I was in education, I was forced to make a confession about a death of a late friend of mine. I won't name the name for legal reasons, and his family. But the confession was seen and was recorded in real time, live time, as the letter develops. And it was a confession to an offence I never actually committed. I actually took advice from my solicitors at the time, and they said, well, wait for the police, make a no-comment statement, and we'll go from there. The criminal act that one would argue that HMP Brixton Prison had committed at that stage, they'll claim there wasn't really one there, but there was. If you're hooked up to a satellite program, it's an invasion of privacy what they're doing, and because they're forcing me to make this confession, it's a conspiracy as well as the joint enterprises. But nevertheless, this confession remains on the computers and the satellite databases that these prison officers in Sebring use. This particular letter, I'm not sure of the time frame, but it will be between November 2007 and possibly April 2008, if that helps the police. There was also another PowerPoint done about Senior Officer Westgrath, and that is on the education hard drive as well. Westgrath saw this PowerPoint. I gave it to him to look at. He took umbrage at this, and it was his opinion and his decision to actually go after me. But the problem was he needed the consent of all his colleagues, which he got, which locked him into a joint enterprise and conspiracy straight away. There was also another officer, his name's Cassidy. I showed him a human rights project I was working on, and this pertained to Westgrath again. This was to do with a stereo that I had in reception, where they wouldn't let me have access to, along with the PlayStation. I challenged this. A governor, Westgrath will claim, overruled that decision, but I was allowed to have the stereo. Now, Westgrath actually fed that governor information as to why I shouldn't. He can't dispute that, because when I came into that office at the time, that decision had been made. There was no consultation, no talking to me. It was a direct order that had been manipulated by Westgrath, and that was a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. I will come back and address some more of these legal issues about human rights and that later. But, I also tagged Officer Cassidy as the legal aid officer. Thank you. I will leave it there for the moment.